This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
One of our favorite guests is Rabbi Glatstein. Rabbi Glatstein has some amazing books, as you know. Our friends at ArtScroll continue to recommend not only the brand new Haggadah, but all of his great works. Go to artscroll.com. Make sure to use promo code radio. Again, artscroll.com. Use promo code radio. Rav Daniel Glatstein on the Haggadah, revolutionary insights into the Haggadah, the Exodus, and the final redemption. Rabbi Daniel Glatstein, welcome back to JM in the AM.
Good morning, Nachum. Honored to be on your program.
I appreciate that very much. Great to speak to you, Rabbi Glatstein. Now, we have to be careful here because you have so many amazing things that you discuss here in the Haggadah, and I'd love to discuss all of them with you, but then again, we want people to use the Haggadah at the Seder, so we have to be very careful here, picking and choosing what you and I are going to discuss. Okay, of course, I have my questions. Let's start, if we can, with your perspective of wearing the kittel. You actually discuss wearing the kittel at the Seder. Without giving it all away, Rabbi Glatstein, what can you tell us about this uniqueness where this kittel that we associate, of course, with one's demise and most closely as living human beings with the holiday of Yom Kippur, why are we wearing a kittel at the Seder?
Well, like you said, let's just give people whet their appetite a little bit. And it's amazing. There's so many Haggadahs, but there's always more room to open up new understanding. So a few years ago, I was having a conversation with Harav Pinchas Friedman, who's one of the great darshanim in the world today, and he suggested to me, it was on an Erev Pesach, that there's an idea that one should only seek Torah teaching from a Rebbe if the Rebbe, in the eyes of the student, is on the level of an angel, on the level of a malach. And every Seder night, a parent is charged with the mission of transmitting the Masorah, transmitting the ideals of Judaism to their children. And what if the child looks up at the parent and says, thinks to themselves, my dad, he ain't no angel, he ain't no malach. So we put on this cloak, we put on this kittel. The Nevi'im tell us that the malachim are donned in white linen. And this allows the parent to assume the role of a malach. And thereby it facilitates the transmission of all the great ideals that we're giving over the night of the Seder. So all the customs that we have the night of the Seder, we say they're founded on great mountains. There are so many layers of meaning for every custom that we practice.
Oh, it's so amazing. And I love how you remind us that the Haggadah, which again, it might be the most published work. I mean, outside of the Torah itself and a Chumash, the Haggadah might be the book, the publication that has the most books written about it, meaning further Haggadahs like yours that are written to enhance one's Seder, because it seems endless in terms of the approach. Now, we always use the term Baal Haggadah. That is, yet in Judaism, it is not like us to not seek out the actual author of a specific work. In fact, when it comes to Tehillim as an example, I mean, although David HaMelech obviously is we attribute most of it to David HaMelech, still, there are so many debates and discussions about who it is in fact that the writer is. Why with the Haggadah do we go with this general term and not do what you did, which is toss in some very interesting names of those who might have been involved in the eventual formation of the Haggadah?
Yeah, that's actually a brilliant question. So while you refer, we have a very lengthy essay on 10 possible candidates for who may have written the Haggadah. But, it begs the question, why is this such a mystery? How could it be such a mystery? How the most published work of all time, where the author is still shrouded in haze and confusion. And,
exactly.
There's an essay in the back of the Haggadah which may shed some light upon this, and that is the main character, if you may say, of the Haggadah is also not mentioned in the Haggadah, and that is Moshe Rabbeinu,
right,
where his name basically does not appear. I mean, there is one reference, we say, Vayaminu b'Hashem of Moshe Abdo, but you would expect I mean, we know we have a tradition. His name appears something like 613 times in the Chumash. I mean, you would have thought he gets at least a dozen mentions, a dozen shout-outs in the Haggadah.
Right.
And he's really not there. And one of the main, the important reasons is that the Haggadah is a book of redemption, of Geula. And we have a great principle. Ein lanu melech goyel ela ata. We only have one Redeemer, and that's God. And perhaps that's the reason why it was sort of important not to know who wrote the Haggadah, to be able, whoever did write it wanted all attention deflected from themselves and all eyes on HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's the night of Ani v'loi malach, Ani v'loi saraf, Ani v'loi shliach. It's a night to focus on the power and the majesty of HaKadosh Baruch Hu only.
And it works out perfectly. It works out perfectly in the reverse, meaning that just like we are, just like Moshe Rabbeinu, for instance, would say, "Hey, it's not me. I'm not the one responsible for this." In a good way, of course, and in praise of the one above. We, insist is the wrong word, but I think you'll know what I mean. We insist on only referring to him as the Baal Haggadah because we, as members of the Jewish nation, are going out of our way to realize and to make sure and to emphasize that it's only he, the one above, with the capital H, that's responsible for all of this.
Absolutely. And actually, this insight that you just brought out is so valuable. And even after writing this Haggadah, I never crystallized it until this morning. So it was worthwhile to be on the program just to be able to come out with some new insight.
I appreciate that.
And, I bring out from Rav Victor Miller, that one of the possibilities is the Haggadah is ever increasing. Every year, there are more commentaries. And the Jewish people are, in a sense, the author of the Haggadah. So, and the conversation continues this morning, as we say, "V'chol hamar v'harizah meshubach."
Yeah, no question about it.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, and a few minutes ago we were talking about Israel and obviously the eventuality, the Hevesi, right, and the fifth cup and everything. And it's amazing when we get to the most important aspects of our tradition, the most important aspects. Our greatest leaders are left out when it comes. I mean, again, it may be a strange comparison I'm making, but Moshe Rabbeinu never made it into Eretz Yisrael. Forget about the reasons for a moment. I'm just saying that, again, he's not the one who brought us. The one above is the one who brought us. And on a much smaller level, obviously, as we're emphasizing, when it comes to really important things in our tradition, we have to go out of our way to remember and make sure that the only one who gets all the credit is the one above. I mean, this works so well into Sha'ar B'tachon. It works so well into, put all your faith in the one above. It just goes on and on and on, frankly. And in a lot of ways, by the way, Seder night is a night of faith. As much as every day is a day of faith for us, because as we know, when it comes to Emunah and Bitachon, it's something that needs, to be exercised every single day. You need to make sure to, to exercise that muscle. When it comes to Seder night, there's an enhanced a night of Emunah and Bitachon. Leil Shiurim, right? It's an enhanced level of Emunah and Bitachon, really.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of my favorite ideas about the Haggadah, which is, when you think about it, it's bookended with a very unusual tefillah. We both begin and end the Haggadah. We begin the Haggadah, L'shana haba ba'arad Yisrael, next year in Jerusalem.
Right.
And we end the Haggadah, L'shana haba b'Yerushalayim.
Right.
I mean, that's always a nice tefillah, but why begin and end the Seder, which is not about that at all. It's about the Exodus. It's about something that happened 3,300 years ago. Why begin and end with a prayer that next year we should be in Jerusalem? And there's a very important idea, and perhaps the most important idea, that all the events we're commemorating and all the events we're speaking about were a trial run, were a dress rehearsal of sorts, were what we call ma'aseh avos simam abanim, were a pre-enactment for the miracles of the final redemption. And we have to tell our children, we're not just reading a book of ancient history. This is the book as a paradigm of what the final redemption will look like. And it happened. All of these miracles, HaKadosh Baruch Hu performed in order to bring about the miracles of the future. So we have to tell our children, they're coming attractions for the Jewish people. Actually, the coming attractions will be on a much grander scale. So the appropriate bookends of the Haggadah are next year in Jerusalem, because that's the objective of the miracles of Yetzias Mitzrayim. We refer to the miracles in Haggadah as Toiva, Kefula, Umechupelas, benefits that are doubled, multi-layered, because each benefit is multi-layered. It was for then, but it's also for the future. So, when the kid sits back and says, "No, I know this story." No. That's only the beginning. That's only the start. The real story, we hope, will happen for us, and that's what we're anticipating. So Shiurim, as you mentioned, could mean a night that we're guarded, but it also means a night that Hashem is waiting for and that we're waiting for. Shiurim could mean anticipating, like in the Pasuk, the Aviv Shamaris Hadavar. So it is a night of Shiurim. It's the night we're waiting for, because, we have a tradition. The redemption will occur in Nisan, like the Nisan Nigalu, the Nisan Asidim Ligal, and Nisan we were redeemed, and we're destined to be redeemed. But further, the Medrash says the Tesvav the Nisan Nigalu, the Tesvav the Nisan Asidim Ligal. That on the 15th of Nisan, we're destined to be redeemed on that precise date. So, although we could be redeemed at any time, it means that date is very predisposed for the potential of redemption. So we're all waiting. We're all shimurim for all of these great events to reoccur for us in our times, and boy, do we need it.
I just want to remind some of the rabbis in our audience. I spent a lot of time this morning discussing or imploring and begging the rabbinic leaders in the diaspora to spend the Shabbos Hagadol Drasha with a national message. Spend that time with a national message. Everybody out there, the future of the Jewish peoples in the state of Israel. We've said that a million times. Rabbi Glatstein basically just wrote this drasha for you. Basically, he just wrote, just do the drasha based on why we start with Hoshana Haba B'Eretz Yisrael and we end with Hoshana Haba B'Yerushalayim. Just do that part, and you'll be fulfilling an amazing and incredible mission of including a national message in the Shabbos Hagadol Drasha. Rabbi Daniel Glatstein is with us live via telephone. I am sitting here in Jerusalem. He is in the New York area, and we are speaking about the brand new Haggadah, revolutionary insights into the Haggadah, the Exodus, and the final redemption. Rabbi Glatstein's work is available at the ArtScroll website. Go to artscroll.com. Make sure to use promo code radio. All right, Rabbi Glatstein, you know that one of the main reasons we're here is to celebrate, and Bezrat Hashem, B'li Ayin Hara, we will be celebrating, including having Sheva Brachos at the Seder if there's a minyan. If not, then certainly during the Chag. And you said to me that you actually have a Sheva Brachos appropriate vart, if you will, based on the new Haggadah. What is that?
Well, look, you could not have set me up any better. I want to take this opportunity on behalf of, your thousands of listeners to wish you a very hearty Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
And the chuppah and the chasna should be, we say, b'shat tova u'metzlachat.
Amen.
And as you're a national, international figure, so the wedding in your family should represent the international wedding of the Jewish people to Hashem, the night of the Seder. This is one of my favorite concepts, that eating the matzah is a bond that we have with HaKadosh Baruch Hu that is unparalleled in any mitzvah we perform. I mean, just think about the act of eating, where, we could wear tefillin, so we're taking the item of the mitzvah, we tie it onto ourselves, or we cover ourselves with a talent. But here we're taking the item of a mitzvah, and we're ingesting it into ourselves, and we're reconstituting our molecules from matzah, from an item of a mitzvah. So the eating of matzah is considered a union with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to the extent, and now we understand why it's so important to be careful not to eat matzah prematurely.
Right.
Because we have to wait to consummate the marriage at the appropriate time. And I was astonished that in the writing of many of the Rishonim, they discuss that because eating matzah is likened to a wedding, there are 7 blessings that we make at the Seder, and they are actually the Sheva Brachos. And there must be 5, 6, 7 different opinions what exactly the 7 blessings are, which blessings are counted. But what's really beautiful is the Vilna Gaon writes that by covering the matzah, that is the badekin. That is, so to speak, preparing the kala for the chuppah.
Oh, wow.
And many of the customs, in fact, there's even an opinion, if possible, and this is not followed halachically, but it just shows you the extent of the importance of this concept. If you can, to have a minyan at your seder to fulfill the sheva brachos of the seder with the minyan. Of course, that's not halachically mandated,
right.
But nevertheless, it gives you an insight into the reality of this concept, that the seder is an actual sheva bracha.
And there's so many points here. You know, we were warned early on that that there's a quote unquote problem or something we need to be aware of, because you can't add a kosher bracha to the Dalet Kosos, to the 4 cups of wine. So Rav Moshe actually has a tshuva about how to do sheva brachas at the seder because of that problem, which was, you know, remarkable that the whole, you know, that we even discussed the issue. It's so funny. And then why does a groom not see a bride 7 days before the wedding? The same reason we don't eat matzah 7 days before the wedding, right? 7 days before the seder. Same reason, because it should be. You should long for it. It should be even more meaningful to you when you eventually meet up with that person or meet up with that matzah, which I find fascinating. That you alluded to that. There's so many components to this that are so similar. I never even thought of it. At my age, how did I not know about this yet? Now do this with me. I know you say there's probably machlokas in different versions, but let's do it together, because otherwise my listener Josh Levine is going to be, come on, how can you not mention at least 7 of the brachos? So obviously Kiddush would be the first, right? Kiddush would be the first, obviously, right?
Okay. Well, okay, good. And in Kiddush, you have 3 brachos, right? You have the Borei Pri Hagafen.
Right.
You have...
which, by the way, and I remind you, Borei Pri Hagafen starts the wedding ceremony also.
Exactly.
Go ahead. So Borei Pri Hagafen, and the bracha in Kiddush plus Shechianu, that would be a total of 3 so far.
Okay. Then you have what we call Kedushas Hayom, which is Baruch Atah Hashem Mekadesh Yisrael V'Hazmanim.
Right.
And then, of course, you have
Shechianu.
a Shechianu.
Right.
And, you know, it's interesting. At a chasana, you typically do not have a Shechianu, but the Sfardim do. But the night of the Seder, we're all making the Shechianu.
Right.
So we're all on it.
I was saying to myself, I wonder if anybody says the Shechianu at the wedding, and of course there's a Sephardic custom to do so, right?
Yeah.
What would be number 4? What would be the 4th?
Okay. The Borei Pri Hadama on the Karpas.
Right. That's 4.
Then you have on the second Kais Asher Ga'alanu.
Right. That's 5.
And the Borei Pri Hagafen on the second Kais.
Right.
And then Al Natilas Yadayim.
Right.
Then Al Natilas Yadayim. Those are 7. Those are the 7 that are identified by the Vilna Gaon. You know, and then he could ask, well, why didn't he count Hanoitzi? Why didn't he count
Achilas Matzah? Right. Yeah, he didn't even. He didn't even count any of the Dalet Kosos except for Kiddush. He didn't count any of the extra Dalet Kosos. But look, if it's good for my Sab Eliyahu, because we were 10 generations from the Vilna Gaon, it's good enough for me. As simple as that.
Okay, yeah.
Whose yard? Oh no, I was going to say his yard site's coming up, and his yard site is Chol Hamoed Sukkos, if I'm not mistaken. It's not Chol Hamoed Pesach. All right. So now,
the Vilna Gaon certainly has what to say on the Haggadah.
No question about it. Isn't it? Am I right that it's the Vilna Gaon? Why occasionally we would use 2 matzahs at a seder, right? That's his.
Yeah,
I believe he used 2 matzahs at a seder.
So,
if I'm not mistaken, he was the one who used 2. And now they're in Yerushalayim, and there's so many customs for the Vilna Gaon that are followed here. Maybe we'll find some people that are using 2 matzahs for their seder. Who knows? Rabbi Daniel Glatstein is with us. Rabbi Daniel Glatstein on the Haggadah. It's brand new from ArtScroll. Check it out, artscroll.com, of course, promo code radio. All right, let's do a couple of more things that have to do with the Haggadah. Do you have a unique approach to Dayenu? Is there anything about Dayenu that, this whole concept of being thankful to the one above and recognizing that if his goodness would have ended, if his generosity would have ended at any point during this entire process, that would have been enough. That would have been so much gratitude we'd have for him just for that. And of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu went ahead and continued this incredible.
That's an important point. The Gemara tells us about somebody who got up to daven and they started praising Hashem, Hakel, Haggadah, Hagibar, the mighty, the strong, the magnificent, the majestic, and he kept on going and going, and they basically said, remove the guy, enough already. What he thinks he's going to say all the praises of Hashem. The Gemara teaches us that when you praise Hashem, you have to just say the script and don't add anything, because you can't possibly you can't possibly articulate all of God's praises. And yet the night of the Seder, we do just the opposite. We say, if Hashem would have just done this, it would have been enough. And we go on and on and on and on. And we even say, the more you do, the better off you are. I mean, that flies in the face of what we normally say when it comes to tefillah. But the answer is very important, very basic. And that is, if somebody was down in the dumps and they had no money and they had no clothing and they had no family, and a benefactor came and schlepped them out of a pit and dressed them and gave them a job and helped them get married and build a family, if you would go over to the benefactor and say, thank you, that would be terrible.
Right.
Just thank you? Well, I can't possibly thank the person for everything there. Well, give it a shot. Give it a start and do as much as you can. When it comes to gratitude, you have to express yourself as much as possible. Otherwise, it would be kifoi taiva. It would really be ingratitude. And the night of the Seder, this is amazing. We talk about the word Haggadah. What does that word mean? Where does it come from? Where does the word Haggadah come from? And there's an amazing comment of Avraham, one of the Rishonim, who says the word Haggadah comes from a pasuk in Parsha Kisavai by the farmer who brings his first fruits up to Jerusalem, and he says the word Haggadati Hayon. I proclaim today. The Targum translates the word Haggadati as ve'oidinat. I thank you today. The word Haggadah means thanking. That is the definition of the word. And therefore, to fulfill that, we have to be as descriptive as possible. We have to break down all the gifts of Hashem, one by one by one. We have to try not to leave even a single one out. When we praise Hashem, when we talk about His greatness, we just read the script. But when we thank Hashem, and that's the objective of the night of Seder, as you mentioned from your Seder, the Vilna Gaon, where many of the themes of the Seder are in the number of 4, whether it's the 4 questions and the 4 sons and the 4 cups of wine, corresponding to the 4 people who have to display gratitude to Hashem. One who crossed the sea, one who crossed the desert, one who's healed, one who's let out of prison. And we experience all of those benefits when we left Egypt.
Right.
So the main theme of the Haggadah is gratitude and others.
Oh,
that is a way that we fulfill that.
That is great. That is just great. Again, one of those varts I'd never heard before. The 4 corresponding to the 4 who are required to bench Gomel, right? Who are required to publicly express gratitude in that unique manner. We call Berachas HaGomel. If you're not familiar with that, folks, consult with your rabbi. And that corresponds to that. Rabbi Glatstein, I need you to do one more thing for me as we remind everybody that Rabbi Daniel Glatstein has the brand new Haggadah. Go to artscroll.com, use promo code radio. One more thing, there are people who just don't read. And this is not a criticism. It's just a reality. They don't enjoy it. There are people who regret they sit at the Seder. They don't have anything to say. So I want to give everyone out there who wants to participate but finds themselves the biggest obstacle to participating. I want to give them a vart that they will not forget between now and next Wednesday night. How about telling everybody about the vart that the Rav Nachman of Breslov has when it comes to the 4 sons?
Okay.
Because I think people will remember this cute vart.
You're referring to Shacharis?
Correct, the word Shacharis.
Okay. So there's this amazing revelation of the Nachman of Breslov, where the historic Seder, where Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and Rabbi Kiva and Rabbi Taka, and they're sitting in Bnei Brak, and they're talking about the story the whole night. And they got so carried away, students had to come and say, Rabbis, Higia Zaman Kriya Shema Shel Shacharis. And Rabbi Nachum of Breslau says, that word Shacharis is a trigger word. That's a very important word. Shin stands for She'enei Yadei Elisha. Ches, Chacham. Reish, Rasha. Taf, Tam. In other words, it's time to address all four sons. This is the night of Shacharis. It's the night where all children are given front row seats. It's a night where we address every child. And it's really amazing that the Torah has what to offer and what to say to every type of person. It's just whether a person is curious, wise, if a person is what we call a rasha, if a person has challenges with the Torah, whatever a person's personality is, whatever a person's inclinations are, the Torah has what to say to them. And that's why we begin the four sons. We say, Baruch Shenasan Torah La'ama Yisrael. Blessed are you, God, that you gave us such a magnificent Torah that has what to say to every type of person, in every generation, in every time, in every era. And that's the greatness of our Torah, that it's timeless. And that's why in every generation there are always new commentaries and new insights. It's endless. It's infinite.
Look, the bottom line is there's such an important message here. Parents, teachers, Rabbeim, everybody, those who concentrate for good reason, not a criticism, on their own self-development, especially when it comes to Torah and davening and Sipur Yetzias Mitzrayim, etc. Let us not forget one of the most important parts of all of our missions, and that's to make sure the four types of children, every category of child, is addressed the way they need to be and is addressed as often as possible.
Yeah,
that's my takeaway from that.
That's interesting. There's one child who's not there at the Seder, and I know there's a famous take on this, but my take on this is the one child that's not at the Seder is the tzaddik.
Right.
You have a chacham, but you don't have a tzaddik, because we're trying to groom all of our children to be that tzaddik, and that's the objective of the evening. That we should elevate all of our children and our entire family, and especially ourselves, to become the Amech Kulam Tzadikim, the nation that is entirely righteous. Rabbi
Glatstein, you're going to enhance a lot of people's Shiurim this year, that I can tell you. I hope we didn't reveal too much. There's still plenty for people to read, right?
No, yeah. We just scratched the surface.
Rabbi Glatstein, I take this opportunity to wish you a Chag Kosher V'Sameach. Mazel Tov on the brand new Haggadah. It's spectacular, and I hope a lot of people out there will take advantage and get it and enjoy it starting this coming Wednesday night.
Amen. Chag Kosher V'Sameach to you, and Mazel Tov to you on your great simcha.
Thank you so much.
To be Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Daniel Glatstein, everybody. Oh yeah, not this upcoming Wednesday, but next Wednesday night, of course. Rabbi Daniel Glatstein on the Haggadah. Check it out, everybody. It's an ArtScroll publication. You know what that means. Go to artscroll.com. Make sure to use promo code radio. Artscroll.com. Make sure to use promo code radio for your free shipping and major discount. We've got plenty more coming up if you keep it right here at JMintheAm.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.